Hello. I'd like to do a little theory lesson today on the circle of fifths. I may say the cycle of fifths, but it's supposed to be the circle of fifths. I just have a tendency to say the wrong word. What I'd like to say about the circle of fifths is most people look at the circle of fifths and they think, oh, that's some theoretical thing that's about music theory, and I don't want to do music theory because I play by ear and I have no desire to learn anything about music theory. Here's the thing. Understanding the circle of fifths can help you understand how to write music, how to play music, how music is written, and it can help you more naturally understand how to play different shapes and keys on the piano. If somebody asks you to play a song in a different key and you've never done that before, then understanding the circle of fifths will help you. So let's first of all show you how the circle of fifths works. I'm going to put the graphic up on the screen, and you can see that it's like a clock. There's 12 spots around it, and if you go clockwise, you're going C up to G, up to D, up to A. And if you go counterclockwise, you're going to C to F, to B flat, to E flat, to A flat. So the reason I'm saying that is explaining that is because one of the things that, as far as practicing is concerned, is it might make more sense to go counterclockwise when you're practicing. And let's give an example of how the circle of fifths, not the cycle, the circle of fifths works. We're going to start with a C chord, and we're going to go pretty far away in the key of C to a B, which doesn't seem very far away, but in the circle of fifths it is. So it's down there on the bottom of the right-hand side of the circle of fifths. We're going to do a secondary dominant based on a B7 chord. And I'm just going to do a string of secondary dominant chords from the B7 chord to E7, to A7, to D7, to G7, and back to C. And you see how completely natural it sounds to just keep those chords moving. You can even do the C chord, go to the B7 chord, and now just go to a regular E minor in the key of C, and then an A minor in the key of C, and then D minor in the key of C, to a G7, back to the C. So this is it's a very natural thing to resolve counterclockwise through the circle of fifths. If that makes any sense, then hopefully you'll understand why I'm doing this in the counterclockwise direction, because maybe we can give another example of why resolving through the circle of fifths counterclockwise is a good way to practice. If we take a simple pattern like, go up a fifth, and up another fifth, then up another fifth, then up another fifth. The thing is that as we keep doing that, we feel like we're getting more and more tense, more and more elevated, it's raises your blood pressure. Now if you go the opposite direction, that feels like a resolution, just like we had the resolution within that little chord pattern I was doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a simple boogie woogie pattern, which is the root, the octave, the third, and go chromatically up to the fifth and down to the octave lower a fifth, back up to that fifth. So that's our pattern. This is a pattern you've probably heard a million times if you've ever heard any boogie woogie. I think I learned it when I was 13 years old. Maybe I started piano lessons when I was 10 or 11. I can't remember exactly when, but okay. So this is our pattern. So we're going to start with C, and the reason I'm doing this is because I want to show you that when you practice through this cycle of fifths, circle of fifths, you have a tendency to learn like the shapes of these different little things. So we'll start with C. We do this Okay, and when we're feeling good with the key of C, then we change down to an F. And we could do it a little octave higher because that's a little bit crazy down there. Yeah, that's a little bit higher. Now we can go to the next one in the circle is the B flat. And what's the next one? E flat. Next one is A flat. Next one is D flat. Next one is G flat. Now, if you notice, the G flat is also called an F sharp, and if we go a fifth lower than the F sharp, we get to B. Next one is E. Next one is A. Next one is going to be D. Next one is G. And miracle of miracles, we're back to C. Now, why is it so important to do things like this? One of the reasons is because if we can practice things in the circle of fifths, practice a pattern that we understand through the circle of fifths, we get to actually really understand how that pattern works. If you notice, if you try to do this, you'll notice that the shapes change a little bit every time you go through the cycle of fifths a certain way. Some of them are very similar. The shape that you play in the key of D, in the key of E, and the key of A are very similar, but when you get to B, suddenly it's a little bit different. And definitely B flat and B are very, very different shapes, even though they're right next to each other on the piano. So going through the circle of fifths shows you that they change, the shapes change gradually as you go through the patterns. That's about it. I can't think of anything else I want to say about this particular little thing. Just practice your circle of fifths. You can call it a circle of fifths or a cycle of fifths. Practice whatever songs you know. You know, you can actually, if you get good at this sort of thing, you can maybe try to play a whole song through the circle of fifths. That's a really good exercise. If you know how to play a song, can you play it in the key of C? Can you play it in the key of F? Can you play it in the key of B flat? And go all the way through the circle of fifths playing that song in every one of those keys. That is an incredibly good exercise. But for today, I'm just going to show you that, because if I did it with a song, this lesson would last for another 2 hours. Anyway, enjoy your practicing, and hope you learn something if you try to use the circle of fifths. That's it. Thanks for watching.